Here's the deal, they said. If you choose to buy an EV, we'll chip in with a healthy discount, and you can charge it on your driveway with cheap electricity. Oh, how the story has changed. It was always baffling to me that governments were forcing people into electric cars at exactly the same time as the price of electricity was going through the roof thanks to the madness of net zero. Those two things seem mutually exclusive. And so it comes to pass as the much vaunted financial benefits of owning an EV, primarily not having to pay for fuel, are slowly but surely being eroded away. Public charging is already more expensive than just filling up with petrol or diesel, unless you want to wait around for hours on a painfully slow charger, and let's face it, who on earth would want to do that except brainwashed EV evangelists? And very gradually, the cheap electricity that was promised to you on your driveway is being wound back, as Octopus, one of the largest UK energy suppliers, is now limiting the time which you can charge your EV at the dirt cheap rates you previously had. And if you think this is going to be the last such tightening of the energy price belt, I've got a bridge to sell you. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney YouTuber. If you're one of the many MGUY viewers who are not subscribed to this channel, please take a moment to subscribe right now. It doesn't cost anything and you'll be directly helping this channel push back on the EV and net zero nonsense we're all fed with. Just click the subscribe button down below and enable all notifications and you won't miss out on any future videos. Not only is the price of electricity negating virtually any financial benefit of owning an EV, especially at public chargers, but governments are realising there's a huge fuel tax shaped hole in the budget, which has to be filled somehow. As I reported earlier this week, the UK is already imposing a pay-per-mile charge on EVs, which might go some way towards paying for the significant extra damage that heavy EVs are causing to road surfaces, requiring more frequent maintenance and repair. At least those EV owners with off-street parking smugly believed that they were immune to the rapidly increasing cost of public charging, benefiting as they were from cheap rates from the energy companies, no doubt under pressure from government to encourage the switch to EVs. And just another observation here is the utter confusion surrounding the charging of EVs. On the one hand, EV drivers are being encouraged to charge at home because it's allegedly cheaper, but at exactly the same time, charging station owners are being encouraged to build more charging stations at huge capital expenditure and wafer-thin profits. They're hardly going to invest knowing that a good chunk of EV drivers will likely never, ever set foot in their stations. The whole thing is a complete disaster. And now reality hits home, as those same energy companies can no longer afford to continue offering those preferential rates, on which they were no doubt making a loss, and are cutting back on the hours each day they are available. The smug look has just evaporated. Octopus Energy ramps up electric car charging costs. Utility giant plans to restrict its discounted EV tariff to 6 hours a day from January. Britain's biggest energy provider is raising the cost of charging electric cars in a fresh blow to drivers. Octopus Energy said it will restrict its cut-price electric vehicle EV tariff from the new year, in a move that could cost some drivers hundreds of pounds annually. It comes amid rising household electricity prices and as EV owners face new taxes that have put the government's net zero targets under pressure. Octopus Intelligent Go tariff is Britain's most popular EV plan, used by 260,000 drivers, or more than 1 in 10 EV owners. It allows motorists to enjoy cheap household energy when their car is charging, significantly cutting the cost of running an electric vehicle. However, the company has written to customers telling them that discounted charging will be limited to 6 hours a day from January. Limiting use of cheap charging rates is likely to drive up energy bills, since motorists will pay peak rates roughly 4 times higher when they wish to charge their car for longer periods. It makes Octopus, which has almost 8 million customers, the latest energy supplier to raise the cost of charging at home after rival supplier OVO doubled EV charging prices earlier this year. The changes have led to a backlash from customers, with one user on social media branding them a complete mess and saying people would move to other suppliers. What's the advantage of staying with Octopus now? Another wrote. Energy companies have raced to attract EV drivers with specialised tariffs that offer cheap charging during off-peak periods. The tariffs have made running electric cars significantly cheaper than petrol and served as a key selling point to encourage sales of expensive plug-in vehicles, since public charging costs several times more. Octopus's changes could more than double the cost of fully charging cars with large batteries, which can take more than 10 hours to charge from empty to full. So with just 6 hours of cheap electricity available, you're paying full whack for the remainder, which is up to 4 times more expensive. A simple calculation shows that a 10-hour charge will cost you 2.2 times more than before. And if you're having to charge up every night, that is sure going to hurt. And here's an interesting comment from the article referring to the relative costs of EVs and combustion. Just got rid of my EV after 3 years, did 45,000 miles. Charging at home was cheap, but charging away from home was 26p per mile. My Audi diesel does 14p per mile with no government 3p per mile tax to come for having an EV. So I'll stick with my diesel Audi for the next 20 years. Also, road tax of £20 as it uses AdBlue is a bonus. Exactly right, stick with your diesel. A far wiser choice than sinking a shed-load of cash into a disposable EV that you'll probably need to replace several times in that same period. If you stopped demonising the harmless trace gas carbon dioxide, you'd see petrol and diesel cars in a very different light. I kind of feel a little bit sorry, well, maybe not really, for people who were conned into buying an EV and are now being squeezed at both ends for public and off-street charging. I'm afraid those people were too willing to accept the government's spin and propaganda, and now they're paying the price. Like I've said before, EVs are the compact fluorescent light of the automotive world. Fragile, expensive, cumbersome, inconvenient, annoying, and highly toxic when broken. But most importantly, once the market was allowed to decide, they disappeared rapidly. Let's hope the same happens to EVs. If you'd like to support this channel and display your anti-EV credentials to your Tesla-owning neighbours at the same time, why not buy some awesome MGUY merchandise, like this mug, this baseball cap, or this t-shirt. Each high-quality item sports the MGUY No EVs sign, and they're all made to order, perfect for irritating the hell out of your local EV zealots. Visit store.mguy.tv or click the link in the description to check out the full range of products. And of course, you can always just buy me a coffee. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Thanks very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips or stories, go there. If you'd like to watch another video, go there. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, go there. And please subscribe to the channel.